Why, hello there, and welcome back for episode 2.
Alright, so I'm really excited to talk about what I got done this week. My prototype has really been coming together, really coming close to that vision that I mentioned last week about cutting through people's throats. Game's looking really sick, but before I get to that, I got a couple other things I want to talk about first. So earlier this week, I decided to look up some reviews of my first game, The Life of a Magical Circle, in case you haven't heard of it, and I came across 2 new reviews that I hadn't seen before. Now, the first one honestly made my day. It was really positive. The guy even said that he thought it was genius. And so it was nice to know that at least one person has realized that I'm a genius. I'm still waiting for the rest of you to catch up, but you know, I'm patient. It takes time, I understand. But the other review, unfortunately, was maybe not negative, but let's say not as glowing. In this second review, he said that he felt that my game was only worth being purchased on sale for 99 cents. Now, here's the thing. You know, if you're gonna be a game developer, it's a creative industry. It's like theater, it's like movies, music, you know, so you gotta be ready for critics. That's the thing that you gotta deal with, you know? You just gotta let that shit roll off your back. You have to make sure that it doesn't bother you at all. So, this guy thought my game was worth 99 cents. He thought that all that effort and time and passion that I put into that project was worth only 99 cents, and that's okay. People have different opinions. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is his truth. That is his valid opinion. And because I am a big believer in free speech, I am going to allow him to express that opinion as I gouge his fucking eyeballs.
Cents, huh? 99 cents? Do you think my fucking game is worth 99 cents, you motherfucker? Say that to my face now. Say that to me.
You think my game's worth 99 cents? Oh, well, how about this? You think my game's worth 99 cents? How about I stab you for every cent that you think it's worth? Like this. 1, 2, 3, 7, 28, 29, 1, 52, 50, 54, 55, 73, 70. Please, man, please. I know it's worth 99 cents. I'm just a cynical asshole.
Yeah, that's right, you motherfucker.
I wonder where this guy lives. In other news, I started dating again recently. That's been fun. I assume my phone's been listening to me because every single reel that pops up on my Instagram is about dating. Usually dating tips targeted at men. Presumably my phone thinks that I am completely fucking incompetent when it comes to this based on what it keeps presenting me. Not a bad guess, in all fairness. Now this may seem kind of random, but I have an impression that I would like to share with you. It is related to the dating, but I'll explain in a second. So, this is my impression of Carl Sagan if he made very inappropriate analogies. There are as many stars in the night sky as there are sperms swimming in my ballsack. Now you may naturally be asking yourself, how could this possibly be related to dating? Well, my friend, I use this as my voice prompt on my Hinge dating profile. This is my impression of Carl Sagan if he made very inappropriate analogies. There are more stars in the night sky than there are sperms swimming in my scrotum. But you see, here's the thing. In the version I just did now, I used the word ballsack. But in the version I did for my dating app, I used the word scrotum. Now, I thought scrotum was more appropriate because Carl Sagan was a man of science and he would use the scientifically appropriate term. But on the other hand, I thought ballsack might be funnier precisely because Carl Sagan would never say that. So it's a tough call. Hey guys, go ahead and drop a post down in the comment section and let me know what you think. Which one's better, ballsack or scrotum? 99 cents. Motherfucker. Anyway, Here's what I worked on this week. So I started the week by adding a dashing enemy, as you can see here. Made the enemies in general a little bit smarter, a little bit more variety in terms of their behavior, and I also made it so that they spawned automatically after you kill them all. On day 2, I made quite a few changes, as you can see here. I darkened the floors because they were making my eyes bleed and made it borderline impossible to see when the archers are shooting at you. I also added proper collision, and as you can see, I made the brown block obstacles much bigger because I wanted to recreate the kind of combat environment that I'm envisioning for the game, in which you'll be forced into tight corridors and spaces, sometimes anyway. On day 3, I made some more significant changes. As you can see at the bottom, I swapped out the energy bar, which I found really hard to read for knowing exactly how many dashes you had available to you, and I made it a counter instead, so that you know exactly that you have 1 dash. I also at this point added a mechanic where staying near an enemy would recharge your energy almost instantly, but I ended up removing that later because I felt it was both too confusing and too easy. Next up, I added a new mechanic that I call clashing, where if you attack an enemy at the exact same time that he's attacking you, he becomes stumbled. You can see it happening in this video when the red guy turns black. Now the danger to this is you don't gain any energy when that happens, so it's kind of a risky thing to do. Really, you want to time your attacks when the guys aren't coming after you. Your energy restores over time by default, but you also instantly gain it back by making successful kills, either on enemies or on projectiles. There's also a mechanic where when you run out of energy, you have exactly 1 attempt to swing your sword and either hit an enemy or a projectile or deflect an attack, anything like that, so that you can survive. If you manage to do it, you're granted another one, and this just keeps going until you regain your energy. Of course, if you miss, you're completely out of swings and you're basically just fucked. And finally, on the last day, I kind of just put everything together. Made it so that the enemies respawn on a timer, you respawn on a timer if you get killed. Now, I understand that you might not be able to see how awesome the game is so far, because you look at it and you think to yourself, this looks like a pile of dog shit that a kindergartner would draw. Don't worry, I'm going to be bringing on board a talented artist soon, a sound effects person, music, all that good stuff. I have this clear vision in my head of exactly what the game's going to be like. Unfortunately, I cannot, through telepathy, show you what my vision is. But what I can do is create my own sound effects, and using that last clip of the game you just saw, show you what it is that I have in mind. And maybe it'll at least help you to somewhat envision what I'm going for here. So let's try this out.
Please, I have a family!
So there you go. That's everything that I worked on this week. Next week, I'm specifically going to be focusing, first of all, on the AI. The enemies are still stupid as fuck. They have, unfortunately, a tendency to attack each other and do damage to one another, so I gotta smarten them up about that. I also just want to do a little bit of balancing to actually get the right balance between the number of enemies you can fight at a time, how quickly they can attack, all that kind of stuff, so that it feels reasonable. And the last thing I'm hoping to get to this week, and this is a big one. If you remember from last week, there was a mechanic I had in there where you could deflect projectiles that are coming at you. In order to do that, you had to stand still. But playing around with the game this week, I found that it was essentially pointless. It was a lot cooler to just dash through the projectiles and smash them along the way, and I felt as though it just slowed the game down for no reason. So, I removed it. And by removing it, I freed up the other mouse button. So naturally, you're asking yourself, holy shit. What are you gonna do with that other mouse button, Matt? Let me tell you. I'm gonna add usable items and abilities. But Matt, please tell me, what kinds of items and abilities are these going to be? Well, let me tell you. As an example of an item, maybe you'll have a shuriken. So you'll be like, something like that. As for abilities, it might be, for example, a slow-mo time manipulation ability. So, for example, maybe you're running along, right? You're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, boom. While everything is frozen, you go ahead and maybe you pick like 3 different positions you want to dash to, right? And then time speeds up and you're just like, all at once, you just like quickly dash to these 3 guys and chop their heads off. Or alternatively, again, you're running along and all of a sudden it's like, and again, you pick 3 different enemies you want to click on. But this time, instead of time resuming immediately, you just see your guy go like, and he returns right back to where he was originally, and then time resumes. And then all 3 of those guys that you just went through at the same time are just like, and blood shoots out of their necks, you know, and they just like drop to their knees like, all right, well, I'm tired. So that's it for this week. Please like and subscribe to my videos. Follow me on social media. Buy my first game, and then go touch yourself and have yourself a good night's rest. And I'll see you next week.